What's going on, everyone? Mitesh here with Tech, and today we are taking a look at this thing right here. This is the Lenovo Smart Display. It is a Google Home with a display, and it's been out for a little while now, but I finally got my hands on it, and today I'm going to tell you if it's worth that little premium that you're paying for that display. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's start off by talking about the most important part of this, and that's of course the display on this device. So the display on this is the 10-inch model that I have. It comes into the 10-inch model and an 8-inch model. This one is priced at $250 and the 8-inch model is priced at $200. Anyways, most important thing is that display right here, and it is a very, very nice display. It's IPS display, so you get great viewing angles. The colors really pop on the screen, and it gets decently bright, so you can keep this in pretty much any room without having too much of an issue. Now, the display is used for a couple of different things, and first thing that you're looking at right now is the ambient mode. So the ambient mode on this is really cool. I mainly use this thing to show off my Google Photos. So you can hook it up and it can just work like a Chromecast display where you can have your Google Photos showing up. And it's basically like the best digital photo frame you can get right now because the screen quality here is just fantastic. So you can just throw on some Google Photos that you may have and it'll just basically play through them like a slideshow through it. Or you can choose to have other things like have some artworks displayed, or you can have it be a gigantic clock. Up to you. I personally think Google Photos is probably the best use of this. You can have yourself a digital photo frame. But that's just the ambient mode. Now, once you start interacting with it, you can get to a couple different things. So this is basically the overall hub. You're not going to be interacting with this one too much, but if you do click on it, you can get to see some information. So, for example, it'll show you the weather, show you any upcoming reminders you may have, and it's just a couple of things you can do with this, like play music or YouTube videos, and then other stuff that you could possibly do with this. Most of the time, though, you're still not going to be touching the screen. You're going to be interacting with it like a voice assistant, like you're already used to with Google Homes. So, you can ask it questions like, what's the weather, and it will display you the weather along with telling you. So one of the main reasons that I like having the visual cues when it answers you is just the fact that sometimes you just can't pay attention to Google Home. When, like, for example, I ask it a question and then right after I'm done asking, my wife is trying to talk to me. Sometimes I don't have a chance to pay attention. Like when I ask it for the weather, if I'm not listening properly, sometimes I miss the entire thing. But here, you can just take a look at the display and see what the response was. But because of the fact that it's showing you something, it doesn't have continued conversation feature. And I think they've done this deliberately. I don't think it's going to be a feature that they add on later. But right now, you can't do a continued conversation with this device. And that kind of sucks. I mean, I like the fact that I can follow up question after question. But you know what? The fact that it's actually showing something visual. And then it also shows you a couple suggestions on the bottom of the screen for things you may want to ask next. So for example, if I ask what the weather is today, it may prompt me to ask what the weather is this weekend and things like that, which might be obvious follow-up questions anyway. So that's kind of nice to have. This is more like what you get on your phone where you don't have continued conversation. So that's just something you guys should know, that the fact that this thing does not support continued conversation. But with that display, it supports a whole bunch of other things. So like I already told you that it can show you the weather. It can do other things like show you timers that you may have going. It can show you multiple timers if you have multiple timers going and things like that. It can also, of course, use that display to show you YouTube videos. So if you're playing any YouTube videos, you can just watch them directly on here. You can also use the Google Voice Assistant and it will play you whatever video you're asking for and just start playing other things too. If you're listening to music or podcast, you can get actual controls on here as well, which is really nice to have. Sometimes I personally hate having to, when I'm listening to a podcast and I miss a couple of things, having to rewind a minute. Instead, I can just go up here, just tap the button a couple times and it will rewind. So that's really nice to have. Things like that just make the screen well worth having with a Google Home device. It makes the experience definitely way better than just having a device that you speak to, because speaking commands is just way slower than just sometimes doing things yourself. So for me, I can see the appeal of the display. Another really cool use of the screen is the fact that it can show you recipes. So this is, I think, one of the better uses of this display is the fact that it can help you out in the kitchen. I think that is actually probably the perfect place for this. Other places may make sense for other people, but for me, I think the kitchen is probably the best place to keep this. So when you're cooking, you can go ahead and see a recipe on here. It will show you step by step and things like that, which is really nice to have, especially when you're looking at recipes, of course. Or when you're in the kitchen and you're trying to do something else and you just want to have a YouTube video or something playing. It's great for that too. You can also get access to things like CBS if you pay for that and other services. You can't, however, see Netflix on this, so you can't ask it to just play Stranger Things and it will play that. New season is coming up, by the way. So you can't just do things like that, which kind of sucks. You also can't cast Netflix to this device, and I'm not sure I understand why that is the case, because I can cast YouTube videos to this thing just fine, but for some reason I can't cast Netflix. So this is not just like a normal cast device, so I'm not completely sure why that's the case, or why Netflix hasn't integrated with this, or why Google hasn't integrated Netflix with this. I don't exactly know how that's supposed to work, but that is something that I would like to see hopefully come to this very soon. The speaker on this thing is actually really nice. So it's a 10-watt speaker and it gets decently loud, and it's got a surprising amount of bass to it too. So listening to music on this thing or watching YouTube videos, like I said, is actually a really nice experience. So yeah, overall, I think this is a great device. Some of the things I didn't mention on this, so you got physical volume controls up here. You can turn them up and down. You can of course mute the mic because you may not want Google Home listening to you all the time. Another nice thing is it's got a webcam up here, so you can make video calls with this using Google Duo. If your family uses Google Duo, fantastic. If they don't, I mean, you guys gotta convince them to use it. But another cool little thing that they have for privacy reasons is a little switch here that can turn off the camera. Now, what's really cool about this is it's kind of a mechanical thing where it literally moves a partition in front of the camera so it can't see you. So it literally is blocked. Now, what's kind of cool about that is you can still take video calls using that without them seeing you. I'm not sure it's a great experience, but it is there if you want to. If you feel like that camera is not something you want on all the time, you can go ahead and block it off like that. So that's kind of a nice little touch. You can use, when you do make video calls, you can use this in portrait, but there's very little portrait support. So when you put it in portrait mode, nothing else really rotates except when you make a video call, then it will actually rotate. So it's got accelerometer built in, but it just doesn't use it for the main display. Not sure if that will be a later update or something like that, but it is there. Aesthetically speaking, I really like how this device looks. So it's got this nice white plastic all around, and then it's got this bamboo back, which, you know, it looks very nice. The sad thing is I don't ever see the backside of this device, so that kind of sucks, but it is a very nice little textured, soft texture type deal. So, the cable here is detachable. It is just a 4-foot long cord, which kind of sucks. I really wish it was more of a standard cable like a micro USB or a USB Type-C so that I could plug it in somewhere else and, you know, just have it powered by that. But it's actually a cord and it kind of sucks. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the features that you get with that screen. So the real question is, does the screen add enough value to justify the price of this device? Because the 10-inch model of this costs $250 and the 8-inch model costs $200. So it is a significant premium over the other Google Home devices that you could get, except for the Google Home Max, which is really expensive, but it's a really nice speaker. So is this thing worth the price? And honestly, when I first got it, I thought I would definitely just say no, but after having it for a couple of weeks, I think that this thing is actually a really nice device. I think the screen is just really good, and a good digital photo frame like this can go for a couple $100s anyway. So that alone makes it kind of worth it, because let's face it, all of us take pictures all the time and we never print them out or anything like that. So here, just having something that rotates your pictures throughout the day is really nice to have. I have a digital photo frame actually in another room, which is not as nice as this one, and the fact that this one can connect up to Google Photos also is just a huge bonus, because the other one I have to like put pictures on an SD card and plug it in there, which is a pain. So just for that alone, I think this thing is kind of worth it. The fact that you get YouTube videos on this, the fact that you can see recipes and things like that is just an added bonus. So yeah, do I think that's worth it? Yes, I do. Now, should you buy this right now? I'm going to tell you to hold off on buying it right now, because Google has an announcement very soon on October 9th where they were rumored to be announcing a competitor to this, a first-party Google Home with a display. It's going to be called the Google Home Hub, I think. And yeah, that one is rumored to be slightly cheaper than this one, though it may lack a couple features, and we'll just have to see once it's announced. I will definitely be getting my hands on one of those, and I will let you guys know whether that one's worth getting or not and how they stack up against each other. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe so you guys don't miss that one. And with that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this one. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!